Hey guys, today in Art Club with Miss Burford we'll be creating a pastel falling leaf picture. You will need a leaf, either a real one or a fake one, some textured paper, some chalk pastels, hairspray and a pencil. To start with, we're going to decide where you want to place your leaf. It can be facing any direction and place it anywhere on the paper. When you're happy with the placement of your leaf, draw around it with a pencil, and this is where I find a fake leaf better because sometimes proper leaves can be a bit crinkly and hard to fold flat. Don't forget to add a little stem to your leaf. Now that we have our leaf, we can start adding our tree trunks. So going from the top to the bottom of your paper, you're going to draw lines down, and these are going to be the trunks of your like birch type trees. So you're going to have some thinner, some thicker, and some are going to be a bit wobbly. No tree trunks are straight. I often get children ask me if they can use a ruler at this stage, and I'm like, no way, because trees are not exactly straight, they are wonky. They've got little wobbly bits on them. So you want to go, as I say, from the bottom to the top of the paper, but when you're going around the leaf, make sure you don't draw through the leaf, you want to draw around the edges of it. Think about your perspective. You'll have thicker trees normally in the front and thinner trunks in the background. And then adding some detail to your trunks, you're going to add the little notches which show where the bark is. So these are little horizontal lines which don't go all the way across the tree trunk, but you may have 2 or 3 in the same area. Some are going to be longer and some are going to be shorter than others. You'll get these lines on both sides of the tree trunk, so you want to do a group of them in several parts of the tree trunk on either side of the trunk. Repeat this for all the trees, both the ones that are in the foreground and the background. Before we put our pencil away, we can add the veins and the detail to the leaf. So you're going to want to add all those little lines that you can see on there. So use your leaf for reference so that you can see all the details. Otherwise you won't get them in the right places. Moving on, we're going to start with our chalk pastels, and we're going to start with the colour of the falling leaf first. So again, looking at your one that you have drawn around, have a look at what colours you have. Mine's mainly a reddy and an orangey colour. So I went around the outline of my leaf first, around the edge, so I could see what line I was going up to. And I filled in the top section with red. I then moved on to an orange, and then added a yellow at the bottom part, as that was the gradual colours that mine went from and to. Yours may be a bit different and have spots of green or brown in it. Do whatever colours you need to do. When you're going around the edge of your leaf, try and stay in the lines as much as possible. That's why I do this with older children, because some of the younger ones find it hard using those chalk pastels. They find them a bit bulky on the end and harder to get the detail that they want. When you have filled your leaf with all the colour, you can then start blending it in. So start from the lightest and then go to the darkest. So in circular motions, I was just rubbing from the yellow to the orange to the red, and just try and keep those sharp edges again. And really rub it in so it blends really nicely. Try to cover all of the white textured areas of the leaf. You'll get this coming through because of the textured paper, so you want to rub into these areas and really cover those bits, but try not to rub the paper so hard that you rip the paper. You shouldn't be rubbing that hard at all. Just a gentle, light circular motion will rub the chalk pastel in. Shake off any excess chalk pieces so that they don't go all over the rest of your picture. Next, using a black chalk pastel, go around the edge of your leaf so you have a nice dark outline, and then use the black also to pick up the details of your veins that you did earlier. You should still have your pencil lines showing through, and if not, you can refer back to your leaf so you can see where those vein lines are. Now we're going to move on to my favourite part of the picture, where we smudge the black outline away from the leaf. So you're going to go along that outline and smudge away all the way around the outline. Don't touch the black lines that you did inside the leaf, only touch the outline. If your outline isn't smudging properly, you may need to go over it with a black chalk pastel again and make it thicker so that there's enough chalk pastel to smudge. When it comes to the stem of your leaf, just drag the chalk down your stem, as you don't want to lose the definition of the stem, and then just carry on going around the rest of your leaf. When you finish going around the leaf, you can then get rid of any excess chalk again, and then go back over any bits. If you want to make that halo smudge a bit bigger, just go over those black lines again with what you were doing, dragging the chalk out. Switching to a grey chalk pastel, you can then start going over your pencil lines of your trees in the distance. So go over the trunk outlines and go over the bark lines along the trunk as well. As you go over these lines, you'll see the definition of your trees a lot easier than you have been able to see them. When you've outlined all the trees, on one side of the trunk on each tree, so on my side I've chosen the right side, go down that right side a bit thicker with your chalk. So go over your line, so then we can create a shadow and make it look a bit more 3D. And then we can smudge this line across. Add the details of the bark again if you've lost the definition of this whilst you're smudging the edge of the tree trunk. Repeat this on all of the trees, and if you need to, go in with the black chalk pastel again to add some definition. So you might want to add it to make some darker shadows, and you'll want to add it to make the bark stand out again. The important thing is that you stick to the same side of the tree trunk that you're smudging. So like I say, I'm doing the right hand side so that it looks like the light is coming from the left. You may want to smudge your left hand side if you want the light coming from the right, but just make sure you stick to one side. And then another point is to make sure that you don't budge the chalk that you've done on your falling leaf, so try and work around the leaf. Another tip is to work from the one side of the paper to the other. That may sound silly, but instead of starting in the middle of the paper with trees, you won't be smudging all your chalk pastel that you've used. You have to be careful with this. We can now add some mist at the bottom of our trees. So again, in a circular motion at the bottom of your picture, about a fifth of the way up the paper, just go in circular motions all the way across, so it creates a hazy kind of feel to the bottom of your trees. I created that without adding any other medium to my picture, but now we're going to add some white chalk pastel just to lighten it up a bit, and add that in circular motions again. And then you can add your haze in between your trees, because it will go deeper into the distance of the woods. So go in between your trees and just make that haze rise a little bit higher. And to fix your picture into place, you will need to use a fixative or some hairspray. Usually the cheaper hairspray is better to hold it into place. I've only got Tresemme, but it still works really well. And just spray it about 15 to 20 centimeters away all over your picture and just let it set. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more art lessons like this and other art related content every now and then. See you next week for more Art Club.